he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I'm told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
What was your response, Phil Mudd?
A couple surprises. Let me give you one bottom line. As a former government official, government's going to kill this guy. He defends Vladimir Putin. Their State Department and CIA officers are coming home. And at Langley and at Foggy Bottom, CIA and State, they're saying, this is how you defend us? So the FBI people, I'm going to tell you, are ticked. And they're going to be saying, I guarantee it, you think you can push us off this because you can try to intimidate the director? You better think again, Mr. President. You've been around for 13 months. We've been around since 1908. I know how this game is going to be played. We're going to win.
A so-called anti-fascist website is encouraging, quote, all manner of physical violence against Trump supporters and capitalists. My next guest was attacked by such a group at his peaceful pro-Trump free speech rally that he held on March 4th. Joining me now, Liberty Revival.
Any weapon that's designed for use by the military, I think we should ban. You've heard people say, you'll have to pry my gun from my cold dead hands. Okay.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
And I hope that when we stand up to those who oppress our communities, that Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad, that we are struggling against tyrants and rulers, not only abroad in the Middle East or in the other side of the world, but here in these United States of America, where you have fascists and white supremacists and Islamophobes reigning in the White House.
The latest developments in the shooting of a Republican congressman and others at a baseball practice outside of Washington. They were gearing up for the annual matchup between the GOP and the Democrats, a tradition more than a century old and one of the last remaining realms of bipartisanship in D.C. But today, a vicious attack. Today, 2 American institutions literally under fire: our national pastime and our elected officials. A barrage of gunfire at a baseball field right outside Washington, D.C., as Republican members of Congress practiced for their annual game against the Democrats. Law enforcement officers shouting at the suspect, 66-year-old James T. Hodgkinson, who had opened fire on the players, apparently deliberately targeting the GOP. 6 people injured, including Congressman Steve Scalise, the third-ranking Republican in the House of Representatives, now in critical condition. The suspect, now dead, had a long and public history of anti-Trump and anti-Republican rhetoric.
I just want to let people know that he wasn't evil, that he was, I guess, tired of some of the politics that are going on.
That's what we just heard. Perhaps he wasn't evil, just tired of the politics.
Most people were horrified, of course, by last week's assassination attempt on Republican members of Congress, which wounded 5 people and nearly killed House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. But most people apparently does not include some people, including New Jersey Democratic strategist Jim Devine. After the shooting, Devine tweeted this, quote, "We are in a war with selfish, foolish, and narcissistic rich people. Why is it a shock when things turn violent? Hashtag hunt Republican congressman." After many people objected, Devine did not back down. He followed up by tweeting this, "I'm sorry if my hunt Republican congressman hashtag hurt the feelings of any GOP snowflakes, but you have not engaged in civil discourse," end quote.
It's really a matter of putting public pressure on the president and making it public, which is hard to break through the news cycle with all the different things. And it's probably about going to the courts as well. And then, I mean, this is where the Second Amendment comes in, quite frankly, because, what if the president was to ignore the courts? What would you do? What would we do? So, Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. That's the why we have it. That's the why we have it. Anyway.
There's a possible motive in the Nashville church shooting last Sunday. The Associated Press quotes law enforcement today as saying a note written by suspect Emmanuel Sampson makes reference to revenge for the massacre at a black church in South Carolina by a white supremacist. Sampson is accused of killing a woman and wounding 7 others.
I believe vote Trump, damn it. You voted Trump! You voted Trump! Oh, yeah, you voted Trump! She been still Oh, yeah. Oh, y'all vote. I gotta do that to her. Damn. Beat his ass! Don't vote Trump. Don't vote Trump! Don't vote Trump! Yeah, this shit didn't it. Still in split.
What do you say to the people who dragged a poor white guy out of a car and beat him?
Oh my goodness, poor white people.
Alleged kidnapping and torture streamed live on Facebook. A white teenager with special needs tied up and beaten as a group of young African Americans shouting anti-white slurs and calling out Donald Trump. Tough stuff to watch. Good morning, everybody. That is where we start as we work through the facts of this story as we get them. I'm Bill Hemmer, and welcome here to America's Newsroom.
Hi, Bill. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So this shocking story breaking in Chicago, and we want to warn you, this video is very disturbing to watch. It shows an 18-year-old victim who was tied and gagged. The suspects put a knife to his throat at different points in this video. They make him drink from the toilet. They shout expletives against white people and against the president-elect. This torture goes on for more than 30 minutes. Listen.
Donald Trump, white people, boy.
No. Goof. My sister was trying my sister said this is not funny, y'all.
Kiara Robles was disappointed when the university canceled it.
I think the people watching tonight should look at the people protesting and look at what color hat they're wearing. It's certainly not red.
But as you can see, she was wearing red. As we continued the interview, Kiara Robles paid for it.
Are you surprised, ma'am?
In a free country, with free speech, in this iconic place, no matter what a person's politics, that happened.
Ma'am, are you all right?
Yes, I am. Thank you for asking. I don't know. It's just protesters here right now. Who knows? Who knows? I think it's still up in the air.
What did you want to hear?
I'm not exactly certain what you mean by that necessarily.
What did you want to hear when you attend that speech? What did you want to hear?
I'm looking to just make a statement by being here, and I think the protesters are doing the same. And props to them for the ones who are doing it non-violently, but I think that's a very rare thing indeed. So.
Are you surprised? Our legislation.
comrades. The captain is here. The captain, comrades. Equal rights?
You go! I'm filming you. Oh, I'm gonna hurt you. Because you have a mask on. Oh, shit.
Oh!
Motherfucker.
Oh, shit, he's bleeding. Yo. Hey, man! He's bleeding. Hard. Yo, he's bleeding bad. He's bleeding bad. He's bleeding bad. Guys,
Several blocks off the parade route, anti-Trump protesters turned destructive and violent. More than 200 people were arrested and at least 6 police officers were injured. Chip Reed has more on this.
Protesters dressed in black, some wearing masks, moved through downtown streets, setting fires, smashing storefront windows, some fighting with police. Officers dressed in riot gear responded with pepper spray and stun grenades.
Keep going, man. It's not working. Keep going,
It was a blatant cheap shot in Laguna Beach Sunday night. Video catches a man walk up behind Trump supporter R.C. Maxwell, then take a swing at him.
If the optics were completely different and I was a Black Lives Matter supporter and I was attacked on the Trump side of a protest, I would be spotlight on CNN right now.
Maxwell met up with me on Tuesday, telling me the attack was unprovoked.
I went over to the left side to see if I can engage them with dialogue, and I was instantly encircled by the so-called anti-fascists.
The man who allegedly sucker punched him quickly identified himself on Twitter after the rally, tweeting that he did it because Maxwell wouldn't stop talking about Trump and that he isn't racist. When someone called for his arrest, he replied, quote, "Please arrest me, LMFAO." Laguna Beach police granted his request. 20-year-old Richard Losey was arrested Tuesday evening and charged with battery and making terroristic threats.
These guys are kicking me. You gonna get him out of here? You gonna push the crowd back?
Our cameras caught someone throwing water at a Trump supporter passing by in a wheelchair. A man shouted back, asking officers to help him out.
Then this, a young man running in fear from protesters, then getting tackled before breaking free. We point him to police. Then punches. He says it was the only way he could get out.
What am I gonna do?
You all right, buddy? What happened? Were you attacked just for wearing a shirt?
Where's my hat? They stole my hat. What else they stole from me?
This guy's Build the Wall t-shirt was ripped off his back. Then he's knocked and punched by 6 men.
Run! Get the hell out of here!
That's a reporter you hear. telling him to flee.
7 more people just come in, start punching me. Look.
She's egging him on. My box. Oh my God! Oh shit, they're throwing eggs at her.
Nigga, you feel me? Fuck Donald Trump, nigga. Fuck that cracker.
He's a racist, fucker.
Lily, your sign tonight says?
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. If we don't fight, who's going to fight for us? People had to die for the freedom where we're at today. We can't just do rallies. We have to fight back. There will be casualties on both sides. There will be, because people have to die to make a change in this world.
All right. So in the wake of these horrifying allegations against Weinstein, abuse victims are talking to social media and sharing their stories, and they're using the hashtag #MeToo. Our next guest used that hashtag, but in a different way. Dana Lash posting this picture showing garbage bags filled with her family's possessions after she was forced to move out of her home because of threats to her and her family. She is an NRA spokesperson. You know her well, a host of Dana on the Blaze TV. So, Dana, you had to leave your home, move your family out of your house because of these threats.
Well, Martha, thank you for having me and for discussing this as well. Now, to be clear on it, we're in the process of moving right now, and it's difficult to have an open house and sell your home conventionally when you're still in it and you have a security threat, a security issue as well.
Rand Paul has returned to the Senate for the very first time since an apparent attack by his next-door neighbor left him with 6 broken ribs and a damaged lung. He could have died. The Kentucky senator claims he was doing yard work at the time of the ambush, which caused some neighbors to speculate perhaps it was a result of a landscaping dispute, a rumor Senator Paul neither confirmed nor denied when he told reporters, quote, "From my perspective, I'm not really too concerned about what someone's motive is." The search of his attacker social media page shows that he's aggressively anti-Trump and anti-Republican, and
The audience cheers.
I think he needs help. And, I don't know. A lot of wonderful dark places he could go.
Then Depp said this.
By the way, this is going to be in the press. It'll be horrible. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? Now, I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living. However, it's been a while. And maybe it's time.
It's an actor dressed to look just like President Donald Trump as he's assassinated on stage. Look as his character is stabbed to death. And there's no mistaking the Trump connection. Check out the unbuttoned overcoat and red tie that hangs over his waist. It's a staging of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar that is outraging many. The controversial production is taking place here in New York City's Central Park. The staging is being seen as a direct jab at Trump and the controversial political climate in this country. There are other similarities to Trump. Caesar's wife, Calpurnia, bears a resemblance to First Lady Melania.
That's not how doxing works.
I'm not going to.
I don't think that's a Nazi.
I'm not a Nazi. What are you doing, man?
Hey!
Hey!
Whoa!
You got a problem?
Yeah, I got a fucking problem. You want to fight? Fuck away from me.
I'm standing here. I don't want to fight, man. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight, man.
No. He attacked. This is self-defense. Well, this is not. No.
Self-defense. I was
doing
guys.
We have the whole thing
on camera.
Yeah, if you had a freaking pint of butyric acid, I don't care how big the building is, it's closed. It has to stay enclosed for a while.
And this stuff is like, it's very efficient. It's very, very smelly. It lasts a long time, and a little of it goes a long way. I know. I'm trying to think through how to get all the sprinklers throughout the once. There's usually a piece of like fusible metal or a piece of glass and a liquid in it that'll blow.
This is undercover video of potential criminal acts being planned. These organizers and activists are talking about setting off butyric acid into the ventilation system and setting off fire alarm sprinklers at a Trump inaugural ball later this week.
Nazi scum! Nazi scum! Nazi scum! Nazi scum! Nazi scum! Nazi attacking me! He's attacking me, officer. That guy attacked me. Nazi scum! Nazi scum! Nazi scum!
These people are the biggest cucks on the planet.
You're trash.
Hey, come tell me on camera. Come here, coward. Come here, coward. Right here on camera. Right here. Tell people intellectually who you are.
Intellectually who I am?
Go ahead, yeah.
I'm your mama.
Yeah, can't even talk. Look at you. This is what they've turned the people into. This is it right here. Literal slave of the system. See that? That's who they are. Look at this slave. That was great. Come on, hit me. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I know. I'm trying because you're brainwashed. This is the brainwashing.
Where they have more coffee.
This is the brainwashing. You see? And I'm proud of this because this is who they are. I've deliberately. That's why they're allied with jihadis, because they hate the West.
Stood over the victim at that point, shot him a second time in the head in full view of the victim's wife. He's talking about neighbor and friend, 51-year-old Brooks Jennings. Authorities say this man, Clayton Carter, another neighbor, gunned down Jennings at 1 a.m. as the two men stood at their shared property line. His front yard crowded with cars at times and hand-lettered anti-Trump signs.
Became a target later on. A mob chased him for a block and a half, took his flag, Trump hat, and glasses, and spat all over him.
You know, I'm okay with people making white supremacists feel unwelcome. I mean, excuse me.
And there you have it, folks. All Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, classical liberals, etc., pretty much anyone right of Bernie Sanders is a white supremacist, a Nazi. So therefore, all this violence is totally justified. But actually, there wasn't any violence because violence against those groups is a right-wing conspiracy theory. Okay, guys? Right, so there was countless more instances, videos, tweets, news articles, clips encouraging violence against us. But I'm going to end the video here. If there's any big ones that I didn't get to in this video, mention them in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter at RealDanBell, 1L in Bell, at RealDanBell. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, Red Pill Dan. And I'm out. Thanks for watching.